Oh, this is a rare Sunday, maybe Monday morning by the time you see this video for me. But I did feel called to make this after the events that happened this weekend at the Trump rally with the shooting. As I jumped on and started trying to gather information about what happened, why this happened, it quickly becomes clear how murky the waters are out there. And as a person who works in AI, it really opened my eyes even more than what they already were to how easy it is to manipulate people, to kind of control a narrative and all those things. And I wanted to make this video to really talk a little bit about emotional intelligence, what it is, why it's important, and why it's something that you should absolutely look into, especially as AI continues to move forward. So as this shooting unfolded, I saw some of these headlines with mainstream media news sites. Take a look at these headlines. I mean, this is completely ridiculous how this was reported. The only thing I can come up with is they are grossly incompetent. They are afraid to use the word assassination. Maybe this is something that's going to be offensive or, people are going to just not be able to deal with it. Maybe they're afraid of the fear that this was going to cause. But this was an actual historical event that happened. And journalists and these news outlets are supposed to be reporting the truth. Well, we all know after the last few years, especially, that that's not what happens a lot of the time. Then you jump over to social media, and of course, you're looking for those independent journalists that you trust. But as you're trying to find those people, you start to notice in the algorithms, whether it's TikTok, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook or X or any of those platforms, that all of a sudden you start getting bombarded with a lot of divisive material. And most of that material is propaganda, or it's not true, or it's manipulative, or it's half truths, or it's all of that. And all of this in general, at its core, the only thing that it's trying to do is spark an emotion, create an emotional response. Look, I've been a marketer for almost 20 years. So the whole mission is to spark an emotional response to get somebody to take some form of an action. Well, politics and social manipulation and cultural manipulation is no different than marketing. It is marketing. It is designed to create an emotional response to create an action. If you guys remember BuzzFeed, this happened, quite a few years ago. They were kind of what I consider the pioneers in these really kind of crazy headlines that were just made to get you to click. And now mainstream media uses a lot of those tactics as well, and they have for quite some time. Now, understand that when you see these titles, clickbait, if you will, they're only there to get you to click. They're typically going to be shocking or divisive or whatever that is, because not only do they want you to click on something, they want you to engage in those comments, because those clicks, those engagements are financially good for these companies. Now, if you take it to a more macro level and you look at something like what happened this weekend with the assassination attempt on Trump, you're going to have foreign enemies come in and they're going to start just flooding with propaganda, different types of content to spark your emotion and to keep you upset and to keep you divided and keep pushing. And look, at the end of the day, it's not your fault. It's not my fault. I mean, all of us, we're out here working really hard, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. We want to spend time with our loved ones. We want to pursue the hobbies, the passions that we have. And it doesn't leave a lot of time for us to try to uncover the truth of these massive things that are happening around the world. But what I want to talk about, though, because it is important, there is one thing that you can absolutely do as AI takes off, as this propaganda gets. Look, these videos coming up, I'm working this side, and I'm not going to be able to tell what's real and what's not. So somebody not working in this world is absolutely not going to be able to tell what's real and what's not. But here's the one thing we can do to combat all of this as artificial intelligence continues to get better and better and better. And that's work on our own emotional intelligence, our own self-awareness. Now, if you're not familiar, all emotional intelligence is, it's the skill to identify, to understand, and to manage your emotions. At its core, that's what the definition is. Once you start working on that discipline, you understand when I see that clickbait, when I see that headline, and it sparks something in me, I need to identify that that happened. Then if I do click on it and I start reading it, I need to understand why I'm having these emotions. And then I have to control that. I don't need to jump in some comment section and start arguing with Big Mama 69 or whoever is in there. I need to be able to control that because my only mission is to try to find what the truth is and try to find those good independent journalists that are trying to report that truth for us so we can understand what is really happening in the world or in our state or in our country or even in our city. So please think about it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I am very self-aware. My emotional intelligence is very high. It's just not true. Studies say that 85% of people think they have high self-awareness, and something like 15% of us actually do have that high self-awareness. I, for one, have taken multiple instruments that kind of measured my self-awareness, and I always thought I had high self-awareness, but then you realize there's a lot of weaknesses. And you could have high self-awareness in one area, but maybe if you are passionate about politics or passionate about some form of culture, your self-awareness is going to drop because it sparks those emotional things. So I'm not trying to put fear in anybody here. I am just trying to say, as AI moves forward, it's going to be harder to understand reality and fantasy. And our only really powerful way to combat that is to work on our emotional intelligence, our self-awareness. And that's going to be the biggest kind of tool in this battle that we are going to be facing moving forward. So I just wanted to, of course, pray for President Trump, for the victims of this shooting, of just our country right now, how divided that it is, all of our leaders that are currently in Washington. I definitely don't want to get involved in any type of political conversation here on YouTube, but I did look at this as a very open kind of scenario that shows the power of the manipulation, of controlling narratives, of what's going on in the media. And you're going to see everything from it was just a random fluke to it was a deep state hit on Trump. And the truth is always somewhere in the middle of all of that. And it is very hard to discern and figure out what the truth is. Self-awareness is the best way that you can defend against all this stuff. So, all right, well, that's it for me today. My name is Harrison Painter, your Chief AI Officer. And until next time, keep innovating and keep creating. Love it.